Welcome to our Component Spotlight video. In this Component Spotlight video, I'm going to be breaking down the vertical arrangement component for you. So our vertical arrangement component can be found in the layout section of our palette. So I'm going to drop that in place now. So what does our vertical arrangement do? Essentially, it allows us to arrange our components vertically, just as the name implies. So let me show you. If I go to my user interface and I drag a few buttons and maybe let's say a label in there, you'll notice that they stack vertically. A lot of you might be thinking though, well, that's already what our viewer does for us, right? If I drop them outside of our vertical arrangement, you'll notice that they stack vertically as well. So you might be thinking, well, what's the point? Well, if we combine this vertical arrangement with a horizontal arrangement, you'll see why we might need it. So our horizontal arrangement, I'm going to drop in place here, and I'm going to throw a few buttons inside of it. So just like this, right? You'll notice that they are stacking horizontally. Well, if I grab my vertical arrangement and I drop that in my horizontal arrangement, you could start to see why we might use it, right? We can come up with some pretty complex layouts by combining these two things. Great. So now I'm going to delete this and then re-grab a vertical arrangement and start breaking down some of the noteworthy properties there. So I'm going to drop in a button and a label for demonstration purposes, and we'll go over our vertical arrangement properties. So if you've seen our horizontal arrangement video, this is probably where you're going to want to stop this one because it's pretty much all the same thing for the vertical arrangement. If you haven't, let's move on. So our height and our width automatic set here says, if we have an automatic setting for our height and our width, it's going to say fill our components, right? Make our vertical arrangement no bigger or no smaller than whatever the components are inside of it. So you'll notice we have a perfect little rectangle around these components. That's what automatic set for both these does. For fill parent, what it's going to do is it's going to say, okay, what's the parent of our vertical arrangement? In this case, it's the screen. So if I say fill the parent's height, it's going to fill all of our screen. If I say, fill the parent's width, it's going to fill all of our screen width, right? So that's what fill parent does. It fills the parent's width or height. So for pixels, essentially we're going to designate what pixel we want, what pixel amount we want for the height and the width, and then it's going to do that. It's not going to care what components we have. It's not going to care if it's cutting off half the component. It's going to be set to that regardless. So if I say 20, you'll notice that it cuts off our components. If I say 20 for our width, it also cuts off our components, right? And if we pull open our phone here, you'll notice that we can barely see them. Well, as I said, it doesn't care what's inside. You said 20 by 20, so the vertical arrangement is going to be 20 by 20. Great, so for our percent, it's going to set our vertical arrangement to be the percentage of our screen. So, for example, if I said 50% of our height, it's going to be 50% of the height of our screen. If I said, let's say 100% of our width, it's going to be 100% of the width of our screen, right? So you'll notice it's 100% of the width and it's 50% of the height, right? So it looks the exact same on our phone. Great. So our image and our background color are pretty self-explanatory. Image allows us to set a background image for our vertical arrangement. Background color allows us to set a background color for our vertical arrangement. Our align horizontal and align vertical allow us to set where our components are laid out in our vertical arrangement. So you'll notice right now it's left top. I could do center top. I could do the right top, so on and so forth, right? You kind of get how this is already working. If I pull open my phone, I'm going to show you how that looks as well. So right, bottom right, so on and so forth, right? So for our blocks, we actually have really no noteworthy blocks for our vertical arrangement. It's going to be all setters and getters for those properties I just talked about. Great, so that's going to conclude our component spotlight for our vertical arrangement, guys. I will see you in the next video.